Hello, Andy at Intex Markets here. Thanks for joining us. Today we're going to look at copper. We'll have a look at the area that we're paying attention to get in for a short. And then we're going to have a little look at price action as well, how it's behaved over the last few weeks, and what we're kind of looking at for the next short setup. Okay, so we've got copper here, and in another video we'll look at setting up liquidity zones, but what we can see here is we've got an LZ that's drawn in this green line here. We've also got a reversal on the weekly here, and price is pushing up. Now, first of all, before we even look at a chart, we want to have either a fundamental or sentiment-based reason to get into a trade. Our fundamental reason to think about shorting copper is pretty obvious right now. We've got the pandemic, we've got a massive lack of chance for economic activity to get back to where it was at the end of 2019 anytime soon within the next 6 to 18 months, highly unlikely. Also remember that when we went into 2020, a lot of market participants were actually expecting a recession anyway, even without COVID. So the global economy is in a pretty dire state. Now we've got that juxtaposed with all the central bank and fiscal stimulus that's being pumped into the economy. And that's why we quite like copper for the short, because copper is a more industrial metal instead of, for instance, equities, which will just keep going up with a massive volatility, but they will keep going up if central banks and fiscal and governments, through their fiscal stimulus, keep pumping money into the economy. That's where it's going to end up. However, copper really needs the global economy to properly get off the ground and to start actually producing stuff and being more productive than it has been over the last few months in order for the rally to continue. So that is, it's pretty simple. It's pretty obvious, really. That's all you need to do for some kind of basic fundamental analysis, and that's why we're looking at a short for copper. And looking now at the charts, we've had this massive rally off the lows of, I think it's about 30% up off the lows, and we're coming into this liquidity zone. Other areas to look at, first of all, we have the 2019 highs up here. So that's an important little area to think about when we're looking at this short. And the main reason that we're thinking about getting into a short when we punch into this area here is really that it's got to punch up another 15% to get to the next LZ up here. It could go about halfway and start getting into trouble around about this area. But thinking about the fundamental backdrop that we've got, come on, it's pretty likely that things are going to at least struggle when we get into this area. So we can start thinking about looking for a short. Right, so now we've got a nice clean chart without any of the lines that we used to identify the area that we wanted to think about getting into a trade. I've just got the two boxes. We've got the identified LZ, which we're just about to head into with price, and then we've got the 2019 high. And that's all that we need, and that's going to cover us for several days, probably a few weeks, until price moves off in one direction or another. So once we've done all the drawing of the lines and everything, let's just clean up our chart. And this is all we've got, so we can concentrate on price action. Just moving it down to the daily here. So let's move forward and see what happens. So we're getting closer into our LZ. Now, first of all, whenever price comes into an identified LZ, your base case should always be that it's going to come and it's going to take out the highs up here, particularly when you're looking at something that's rallied this much. And so that's an initial nice reversal in this LZ. All that does is it shows us that we've identified correctly an area that participants are coming back into the market to make a decision. And obviously people have been holding on during this rally onto copper are going to take some profits. It's not a signal to get into a trade. It just is a signal that our LZ is correct. We move on a little bit now. This was quite interesting here, and this set up our first entry. So two things. First of all, look at the momentum in this candle here. Now, what is important about where this candle is being thrown up? It's important because it is coming at the end of a big long run. So instead of see this momentum candle here, which is coming at the end of this bearish run here and some consolidation here, which signals some nice bullishness potentially, which did actually play out. Here we're at an end of a 30% run to the upside. So this is in itself a decent enough signal to get in on for a short. But then thinking about what price does, and obviously it is showing that there is momentum still to go to further to the upside. There's almost 100% chance that the highs of this day are going to be challenged. So if we want to enter into a short, it's a bit odd to get into a short straight off the bat there. But then let's have a little think. So this is the high 2019 high here. For this high to be challenged on the next day, it needs to go up another 3%. And let's say we put a stop in around about here, which is about 5%. So it's got to have a 5% up day to get to a stop that's put above here. And we're thinking that's a pretty good place to put a stop. And if price goes that much, it's the most it's moved for a long, long time. And yet that's a shame. We would be taken out of the trade. But hey, that happens sometimes. So we want to think about getting a stop up here somewhere and knowing that if it's taken out, that would be a very odd occurrence in this scenario. For a short, I can't remember. We did take the short, and it was a live short. We called in the room. Can't remember exactly where we took the entry, but it was around about here, thinking about how price reacted at these highs up here. And also then the second part of the trade is obviously thinking of where we're going to get to break even. A short anywhere down to this level here is quite nice. That's 1-to-1 there, which is where we can think about getting to break even, because that would then be a retest of this area here. So that's a decent area to get to take a short. And I hope the way that I explain that gives you an idea of why we're thinking about taking a short after what may look to many people as a very bullish day there. See what happened. Okay, so we obviously called a nice top there. However, this is a hero trade. We hate hero trades because what you're pretty much doing there is calling a V top. So I immediately think that this is probably not going to work out. But hey, we got into a nice entry. Let's see if we can get to break even, which is what we thought was a high probability that we're going to do. We came down and we just got tagged there at break even. So at that point, we bring our stop to break even, and let's see what happens. So here, prices come down, and it really had a chance there to reverse, and that's been a little bit of consolidation, potentially a double top on the lower time frames there, but it just had no follow through there at all. Came back up. That was us taken out at break even there, and then slightly longer term double top potentially being put in here, but really you were not interested in taking this trade now and jumping straight back in on a short. Why? Because of this, really, because prices come down and it's just not shown any appetite to move lower down. So immediately from that point, and because it didn't follow down lower there, and we'd be into that trade anyway, what we need is for price to move one way or the other, and then we'll take another decision. We've come down and ended. That was the end of July. Sorry, so it did end July quite bearishly, but again was found support in this area and pushed back up at the start of August, and this is where we are now. So this then, by looking at what's happened, we know that this has turned into some consolidation. What do we need here? We either need price to break out of this consolidation to the downside, get below these low tests here, and then that would set up a potential short on a bounce back up to this area. or what is more likely is this consolidation resolves itself to the upside. Now, that's a decent consolidation from almost early July into early August, so almost a month playing about in this level. Uh, our fundamental viewpoint so far at least hasn't changed. There is some bearish sentiment in the market, and it would be nice if that turned into bullishness, because right now this is the most hated risk rally ever. But if we push up to new highs here in this copper chart, and then there's no real follow through after a month of consolidation, then that's some warning signals for longs, because you'd really want, after a month of consolidation, a big push up and then a consolidation, a good like 5 or 6% above these highs. So if we push up feebly and we start getting a little bit of an issue just after that push up, then that might give us a potential short here. And then secondly, maybe we get into half position here. Price comes down and gets again below these lows that have given the shorts problems on the way up into this consolidation. And then again, maybe look for a short on a bounce. So those are the two things that need to happen. We're not looking to get into a short in this consolidation here because of the reasons that I've discussed. And we're certainly not changing it, even though we think it's most likely that price is going to push higher. We're not changing our fundamental point of view. So we're not thinking about looking for a long here. Right, I hope that cleared up a few things. And if there's anything that was discussed in this video that you want a little bit more information about, then please contact us and we can do another vid. And apart from that, I hope you have a good trading week. Thank you.